Alrighty. All right, so we're up and we're live.
Yep.
Awesome. Cool. So I hope people are joining us right now. I'm really excited to be here right now. Welcome if you're logging on and clicking into our 6th birthday party for Protect PT. It's very exciting. I think as people log on, I can start by introducing myself, and then I'll go ahead and I'll introduce Gillian. Although if you're watching this, I'm sure you probably already know who she is. Hi, everybody. My name is Blanche Helbling, and I'm a big fan of Protect PT. And by way of introduction, I'll say that I'm currently a third-year law student at the University of Pennsylvania Law School in Philadelphia, though for the past year, I've been learning and studying from my home in Westmoreland County, and I'm actually in the home stretch right now. I have about 2 weeks left before graduation. Not that I'm counting. I'm definitely counting. But I came to law school with an interest in environmental rights and specifically with an interest in environmental activism. So I had a little bit of a background in nonprofits. And anyways, this is kind of how I came to meet Gillian. I was very fortunate in my most recent year of law school to have started a project focused on environmental activism in Pennsylvania. And Gillian was kind enough to agree to let me interview her for my project. So we decided we'd, keep the train going and I would interview her again in celebration of Protect PT's 6th birthday, which is what we're doing here today. And I'm really excited to keep this conversation going and to learn more about Protect PT and, Gillian, your journey to become the activist that you are and the change maker that you are in your town. This is super cool. So thank you for having me, and thank you for being interviewed again.
Yeah, thanks so much for doing this, Blair. We kind of have a Blanche. We kind of have a twist of roles here, So
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you take control.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll do my best here.
Okay.
As I think most people here know, Gillian Graber is the executive director of Protect PT. She's also a mom of 2. And Protect PT is a grassroots nonprofit organization dedicated to ensuring residents' safety, security, and quality of life by engaging in education and advocacy to protect the economic, environmental, and legal rights of the people in Westmoreland and Allegheny counties. Gillian is a founding member of Protect PT, which started organizing in December of 2014 when neighbors from Trafford and Penn Township came together to resist an unconventional natural gas well near their homes. Protect PT is officially 6 years old today, so congratulations.
Yay! It's exciting.
Yeah. It is really exciting. And I'm really curious to kind of jump right in and to learn about what those 6 years have been like for you and for Protect PT. So we were talking about this like a little bit as we were setting up and getting ready, but I kind of want to start right here at December 2014 when you first started organizing. And I'm really curious if you could kind of walk me through that a little bit. Why did you start organizing and what was that like?
Yeah, so Blanche, we actually started at the library, and Mountain Watershed Association was, found out that there were 2 well pads that were proposed for our community. And so they started getting together residents. And my husband was one of those residents. And so we were at a point where we were going to the library all the time. We were like, what do we do next? And Stephanie Novak was the organizer then. And she said, well, the next thing is to form a group and to like officially form a group. So we formed, we had our first like official meeting in my living room in December of 2014. And we, voted our board members in. We voted in, we have to have, a president, vice president, treasurer, secretary.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone was like, oh, volunteering for those roles. And I was like, well, I can do communications. That was my background. I have a background in communications, a bachelor's from Duquesne. And I had run my own business, just like a little sewing business, and so I knew how to do that stuff. I didn't know a ton about fracking at the time, but my husband was like really into air quality, really into fracking, and we had actually fought an air quality issue in our own home, really at the same time that this was starting. So we actually we closed on our case. We settled with a neighbor that was polluting our air in our home, and then like that week we found out about this well pad. It
Oh
was just
no.
like, it was crazy because like you feel like you're ending one thing, and you're finally going to get clean air in your home, and you're so excited, and then boom, something else happens. And
Mhm.
so that's why I think we felt compelled to get involved really early. And I was really happy that so many neighbors like stepped up. We'd kind of take turns and go from someone's living room, and then okay, next week who are we? Which living room are we going to go to? And it was weekly for a while, and then it was like bi-weekly we were meeting, and then it was like monthly that we were meeting. So one of our founding members who was on one of our lunch and learns last year, Siobhan Sullivan, she said she'd be treasurer, and then I was surprisingly voted as president. I was shocked, didn't know that that was going to happen, and everyone was like really supportive, and we started working on the paperwork, and it was finally when we became an official incorporated nonprofit in April, and then started on our 501c3 paperwork. And when we finally submitted it, actually in November of 2015, they made it retroactive to the date that we incorporated. So it was great because at that time we were like, we need to get grants, and trying to, find grant money to fund some of these projects that we were working on. And of course, donations. At the beginning, it was like passing the hat every time we get together.
Mhm.
So that's how we started.
Yeah. So when you started, it sounds like the impetus was like one specific unconventional well pad that was going in. But how much at that point did you know kind of like what you would ultimately end up taking on, which has become much broader than that?
I had no idea. I had no idea what I was taking on. One of our founding members, one of our neighbors up the street, John, he, like, famous last words. He was like, "I'll be vice president. President doesn't have to do a whole lot, so you can do it." Because I was like, I don't know, I don't have an experience in this. I don't know if I can do it. And everyone's like, you can. I was like, okay, I'll take it on. And I'm thinking like, famous last words, you won't have anything, like it won't be a big deal, like it won't be a big job. And then it was like, in the beginning, volunteering 60 hours basically a week,
Oh my gosh.
every spare minute I had. And I mean, luckily I was able to do that because I was a stay-at-home mom at the time. I had quit working my full-time job when I had my son, and they were, I don't know, like 5 and 3 at the time, or maybe 6 and 4. So yeah, so I could do it in my spare time, and it was really time consuming though. It ate up all my free time. Still does.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's honestly one of the things that I love so much about Protect PT is how like homegrown it is and just very, very community driven. So I wonder if we could talk about grassroots organizing and kind of what that's been like. What has the learning curve been like to get into grassroots organizing, having the background that you have?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because I didn't, like, know I was ever going to do this type of work. First it was like this one well pad, then we found out it was actually 2 well pads, and then it was 4 well pads, and then, oh, by the way, it's 7 well pads, and then it was 12 well pads, and it's just like, it felt like an invasion of our community. And that's what it is. It's an invasion. And I talk to people all the time right now, and they tell me the same thing. They're so frustrated. They don't know what to do. They're like, they're invading our community, and what do you do? And I was like, I completely understand, because that's exactly how I felt. When we started Protect PT, and it was really just out of necessity. And so, grassroots organizing, like, it's interesting because it's a combination of the things like that you have to do to get the grant money in order to do your organizing, which sometimes is, money's required. I mean, we're going up against these guys that have just unlimited resources, right? And this little group of neighbors getting together to try to fight it. And it's definitely like that classic David and Goliath struggle. And so early on, I had some really good advice from our lawyer at the time, O'Day. And he said, there's a couple things you need to know. And he was our lawyer for the wood smoke case. So I really trusted him. And, I called him up when we found out. And I was like, what do we do? Like, we just went out through this nightmare. Like, what do we do? And he was like, you gather your support. So you gather your neighbors. So literally it was me running after the bus, handing out flyers to all the parents to try to get that support, right? Gather that support. So that was number one. Number two was start building your fund, because you're going to need potentially legal support in the future. You might need, money for flyers. And luckily, Mountain Watershed Association had a little small grant support funding, direct support fund. And they still do to this day. Really a godsend for people like me that want to get into grassroots organizing or not really want to have like the need to because of something. And so it was that. And then he was like, start monitoring anything you can monitor: air, water, noise, And at the time there was no noise monitoring at all. So I just followed what he told me to do, and boom, protect the team. I mean, it was a lot more involved with that, but like essentially that's kind of how we operate. We still try to stay really true, even though we've grown. We're still grassroots, and we try to keep like working in that way to try to help the community the best way we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I heard you say, it sounds like 3 main buckets for the beginning. And I know that you do like a ton of different things, but I think my very like simplified way of understanding it is, you needed funding because there was the potential of going through like legal battles that are really expensive, particularly when you're going up against, parties like, big industry that have a ton of money. But then I also heard gathering people and then monitoring. So gathering evidence, I guess.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if we could dig into a couple of these. So gathering people, running after the bus. Really, what was that like? What were these like initial conversations like with the neighbors? And, the continued conversations, I guess, as you continue to, get support and educate people. I wonder what people are saying and, what issues really, really resonate and help you to grow as an organization.
Yeah. So initially it was like doing this whole new thing that I never thought I would be doing, which is like, running after the bus, talking to neighbors. I didn't know, my neighbors soon knew me as like the petition lady because I had a petition. Another neighbor across the street, Bob, he was like, I'll walk around with you and we can just petition and, have these signatures. But then it's also, it's now, it grew from, you have to really have a message. That's the most important. So you have to take this really, really complex issue and boil it down to what they call in sales, they call it an elevator pitch. You have to boil it down to an elevator pitch. And that's what I did. And that's what we do to this day. It was a lot of canvassing. It was a lot of petitions. Because we're in a really densely populated area, we could do that canvassing. I mean, I remember walking around every single neighborhood canvassing. And what we would do, and we found this to be really effective. We would have a flyer. We'd have a call to action on the flyer. Come to this meeting. Or call us and we'll tell you what's going on. And so this really clear call to action, we'd drop the flyers, we'd talk to as many people as we could talk to and just kind of have our elevator pitch ready to go. And then it'd be 1 or 2 people that would call us back and say, I don't think my neighbors really understand. I don't think they really know about this. And I want to help. So then
Mhm.
we would have a meeting where a neighbor would invite their entire neighborhood, if they wanted to their home, into their living room, and we would have a meeting about it. And I remember, being at one of the meetings in a little community deer run, and all the neighbors coming, and we'd and it was great because like the host would have like food out, and it was so like it was great to get to know all these people too. And that's one of the surprising things. Like I didn't really know I was going to get to know so many people.
Mhm.
Yesterday we were out flower shopping at the local the nursery, and
Mhm.
I knew the person that was ringing us up, and she recognized me, and, oh, how's Protect PT going? And my husband's like, I can't take you anywhere because you know everybody, and that kind of community building I think is so important, when you're talking about trying to capture what it is about a community that's really important, and how you can convey that to the local officials, that you don't want to change, right? You don't
Yeah.
want this type of development in your community. So that's kind of what we did and how we started and how we kind of still do it today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it speaks to the importance and the breadth of the work that you're doing. If you can't go to the flower shop without people, recognizing you as the environmental lady, it really speaks to, how front of mind this issue is, I think, in PT and also in communities, surrounding Penn Township. So I'm wondering if you could then maybe talk also about one of the other things that you said that you started out doing and then are still doing, which is the monitoring. Can you maybe explain what that looks at, like what it really looks like for some of us who maybe haven't gone out there and done that? What does that entail?
Yeah, so one of the first things that we did was look to research people that were doing this work already, because honestly, like if you can find a group that's doing something and you can help that group, that's the best thing to do, right? So not
Mhm.
start your own organization. Look to see if there's someone else doing the work first. And if there is, which in our area there wasn't, there is a group in Westmoreland County, but they're not a nonprofit. They weren't willing to like, help with our community. Like they had like general information to give, not really the specific things that we needed. So it was just kind of like by necessity that we formed our own organization, and then like that our area is definitely expanded. I mean, we're Protect PT, but we protect more
Mhm.
than PT, right? We protect Westmoreland and part of Allegheny County. So with the monitoring, it was just another way for us to protect the community, because if you know what your baseline is for air, and that's something that can be monitored. The technology was out there. So we contacted other organizations that had these resources that were doing these things, and we
Mhm.
said, can we do this in our community? And they were like, yeah, sure. And so it was the Environmental Health Project, wonderful organization, one of the first people we talked to. And they said, we will do this. We'll send your monitors out. We'll do a 32-day study, and you can start, gathering this data. And so what we did was we made a map of all the people, all of our members,
Mhm.
and we started just contacting them and say, do you want monitoring? Do you want monitoring? Everyone wanted it. Everyone was like, yes, this is a great idea. And so it got to the point where the Environmental Health Project was like, oh my gosh, this is like a big demand. And
Yeah.
we don't have the ability to do what to serve your community the way that we want to. And so we said, well, we'll take on part of that responsibility. We'll deploy the monitors to the home. So, so there's not the breaking of equipment was a big problem because the equipment that we were using was constantly breaking. Um, and we'll deploy them, and then we'll collect the data, we'll upload the data, and we'll just send it over to you. And then you can do the reports if that's okay. And they were totally cool with that. And to this day, that's what we still do. Um, And then for our noise monitoring, we were like, what, this is a gap. This is something that is not studied. And we had found one study and at the time it hadn't, so at the time this audiologist from IUP, Dr. Cynthia Richburg, had done a study, and it was really limited. But she talked with us, and we used the kind of the protocols that she used for her peer-reviewed study to develop our program. And so that's how we have this program. If it wouldn't be for, if it weren't for Cynthia, we wouldn't have this program. So she taught us how to use the equipment. We got our own equipment. We developed our own protocols. We developed our own reporting system, and we thought, this is great, because then when we're going to monitor the air, we can monitor the noise at the same time. And they're two things down, right? And as we dug into it, we realized, and this kind of goes along with the legal implications for unconventional natural gas development. One of the things that a municipality can really, really have control over is the noise. And a municipality can say, if an operator is able to work 24/7 or not. They have the opportunity to say what the decibel level should be in the neighborhood. So we felt like if we gathered this data, we could use it. We could teach people that, like, this is not, how we want our communities to be. This is how the community is, a quiet rural or residential community. And it's, it's supposed to have kids playing and laughing. It's supposed to have dogs barking and lawnmowers going. It's not supposed to have this vibration of this crazy drill going 24/7 and people not be able to sleep. And I just remember, like, the first time one of our members couldn't sleep, and that was the first well pad that was built, and it was horrendous for them. And all I could do was say, let's just keep gathering the data, because that was what was lacking in this industry. It was lacking in baseline data, just really lacking. There's so many health studies that look at effects of unconventional natural gas development after the fact. What was lacking was what's it like before, and how do we compare the before to the after and the during? And that's what we wanted to do.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful, especially given what we were talking about before, comparing kind of the David and Goliath situation. That's why we need people on the ground to take it kind of like into their own hands to do the research when they can and when it's affecting their community. So I think that's really awesome. And I'm wondering if you can maybe talk a little bit about, so say you identify a problem, like an incoming fracking well. What do you do now that you have, these baseline things that are built up, these baseline resources? What's your next move?
Yeah, so our next move is to participate in a public hearing. And so that usually entails getting the information from the DEP on the particular infrastructure that's being built, and looking over that information, trying to gather that support. So there was a lot of time when, like I said, it was like 2 wells, and it was 4 wells, and it was 7 wells. Well, when it came to 7 wells, we did not have anybody in that area that we knew. So that's when we went, pounding the pavement and and talking to neighbors. And then I had one member say, I was like Paul Revere going around and and telling my neighbors about this. And then, we had our meeting, and then we all show up at the hearing, and we bring experts. So that was another really big hurdle. How do you get experts to these hearings? People that are qualified to speak on the public health impacts. And how do you get the local government, or persuade the local government to see your side of it? And so we did. So 3 of the early hearings for Apex Energy, the Beatty Draftina and White Wells,
Mm-hmm.
we were participating in the hearing, and they were denied, and we were shocked and just elated, and the industry was shocked too, because they saw us as these little bugs that they could squish.
Mm-hmm.
They realized that, oh crap, these people really have their stuff together, and they're going to fight this. And we thought we were going to come in and just do this and not worry about it. And that is not the case. So it was like, that's kind of how it starts, just like going to the local hearing, gathering the information. And if you follow that plan, and then gathering your people, if you follow that plan, you're still going to have an uphill battle, but you're going to be able to get what you need to fight it in court, if you need to fight it in court. And that was kind of our goal. Do you see, Blanche, that we have a question?
I do see it. Can you see it as well? I was going to read it to you, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, go ahead and read it.
Awesome.
I can see too.
Awesome. Okay. It's my first time using this software. It's very cool. Okay. So the question is, one of many permits were issued on April 19th of this year to Olympus Energy, LLC, for the site Gaia 7M in Penn Township, Westmoreland County. Why do you suppose that Olympus changed their name from Huntley and Huntley?
Well, I think part of it was when we had one of our first hearings, the CEO of Huntley and Huntley at the time came to the local hearing and said, "We will not be drilling oil and gas wells in Penn Township." Mm-hmm. That was a lie. And when we went to court for to fight the substantive validity challenge, they had actually put up on their website, they echoed the thoughts of this guy that is a blogger for Marcellus Drilling News. Some guy probably lives in his mom's basement in New York, and he was blogging about how we were a bunch of ninny nannies and calling us names and saying that, this was a frivolous lawsuit, because protecting your air and water is so frivolous. Mm-hmm. And they put it up on their website. And it was a series, I think, a series of really terrible PR missteps. That's just that's my opinion as to why they changed their name. Because, it seemed like over and over again, they were changing their name, and they were making these big errors of judgment. And I'm not, so I have a feeling it was like a change of leadership, and that was why they ultimately went to change their name. And this Olympus Energy totally makes sense, because all their well pads are pretty disgustingly named after like these Greek gods and goddesses. Kind of ridiculous, but that's their business model, I guess. Doesn't change anything for us though. Mm-hmm. They're the same people. They actually, at one point, a lot of the folks that are at Olympus worked for Range Resources. I don't know if anybody follows the news, but Range Resources was cited for criminal activity in the state of Pennsylvania for environmental crimes, and was really fined a lot of money. So that's the people we're dealing with. The same people that have been running this industry in our neck of the woods for a while.
That is fascinating. So thank you for that question.
So Nancy was talking about our work across the state as well. And it was a great question on the name change. So some comments here.
I know, they're fun to read. So I'm thinking about all of the work that Protect PT has done in the past 6 years, and I believe that one of your cases is, like, one of the legal challenges that you put in is going up before the Pennsylvania Supreme Court in the future. And I'm wondering if you want to talk a little bit about that and explain kind of what that was and where you're at with it.
Yeah, so tune in May 19th.
Mhm.
We're going to start, it starts in the morning. So we're going to have a little preview with our attorney, Tim Fitchett from Fair Shake. We have been with Fair Shake since we started, and so we're going to we're gonna he's gonna talk a little bit about the case, and this is the oral argument for the Supreme Court. And I will say, this is why it's so important to participate at the local level, because this is the same record, same information for these two well pads that we had back in, I think it was 2016 or 17, that we went before the township. Same information. We took it to the county court. And I will say, one of the big issues here is that we brought before the local township from Medicine Gaia, we brought Dr. Walter Sue, an amazing physician. He was actually the former health director for the city of Philadelphia. Just a wealth of knowledge and information, highly
Mhm.
qualified in his field. At the time, he was with Physicians for Social Responsibility. I'm sure he still is with them at some capacity, as well as Nurse Laura Dagley also from Physicians for Social Responsibility, who talked about the detrimental health impacts of fracking. And with these sites in particular, there's one that's really close to a daycare, one of the two main daycares in our neighborhoods, and it's really close to new housing plans, and it's a detrimental it's a detrimental development, and so our goal was to prove that, and we feel that his testimony and her testimony did that, but it was ignored, and they didn't give a reason why they ignored it. They just ignored it. So that was part of our argument when we went to the higher courts. We said, they ignored our experts, and these are highly qualified experts. And it comes down to the pressure that the municipality has to approve these things, whether they want to or not.
Mhm.
And it comes down to the pressure that they feel from the industry to ignore evidence from the people, and only consider evidence from these consultants that the industry hires to be their experts. I mean, that's what we're up against. We're up against, a
Mhm.
public health professional, like he spent his career doing public health, and a consultant that picks and chooses, these articles and peer-reviewed research to, try to sway these local officials to say, like, I know what I'm talking about, and this is what the research says. So it's really tough, because again, you're up against this big industry who's paying someone to do it. Dr. Sue and Nurse Dagley came, and they were coming because they wanted to come, they wanted to participate, and that was their motivation, was to use the precautionary principle, which says that you should make sure you use precaution when you're talking about things for public health. And none of the judges even looked at the information. So that's why we're at the Supreme Court. It did help out that that last year the AG's office released the grand jury report, basically saying exactly what all of our experts have said for the last 6 years, that fracking is harmful to human health. And if you have one takeaway, that's it. Fracking is harmful to human health.
Yeah. So I guess on that topic, like, because what we're really talking about here is permitting, right? We're talking about the industry having permission to go in and frack in ways that we know are harmful based on expert evidence and things like that. So a little bit of like a Pennsylvania law nerd hat on my head right now. I want to talk about Pennsylvania's environmental constitutional rights. And I know that you and I have had like different like offline conversations about this, but Pennsylvania has these pretty unique rights in its amendment protecting natural resources across the Commonwealth, not only for people who are here right now, but for generations yet to come. That's the language. And I just wonder kind of what your take on that is as an activist who is not only advocating and spreading education and awareness about this, but also like literally using the law as a tool to protect your community.
Yeah, so in all of the things that we do, especially at the local level, we point to Article 1, Section 27, which was, if folks, know the history of it, there was a really wonderful PBS special a few years ago called Generations Yet to Come. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's really great. The legislator that wrote the legislation, Franklin Curry, he is one of the interviewees, and he talks about the fact that in the 70s when this was proposed, it had more support than the ERA movement at the time, the Equal Rights Amendment, and that to me seems kind of shocking. And it was kind of born out of the need to protect Pennsylvania's most precious resources, which is air and water, especially in his day, water, and that still rings true today, from industry. So this is why this law was made, because he saw the detriment to the rivers and creeks and streams near his home. And we see that today. We see that legacy pollution in our streams here in southwestern Pennsylvania. People know what a red stream is. They know that that's acid mine drainage. They know what this light blue or white water looks like. That's aluminum from acid mine drainage. So we are well aware in this side of the state what that means and what that is, right? Because we see it. And the DEP, the enforcement agency, they have this job to prevent that from happening, and that's not happening. And that we have this law, this constitutional law. I would say that this is an egalitarian law. Everyone has the equal rights to clean air and water in Pennsylvania. It's a legal right that we all have, and that right is being trampled on every single day by this and other industries. And I don't know what it's going to take to push that needle, but I'm going to do everything that I can in my power to educate people and to use the law as much as we can with everything, because there, hands down, you can prove that if someone is engaging in an activity that is going to disturb land, that is going to disturb and disrupt creeks and streams, as like, for instance, Mariner East, in the eastern part of the state, they're still having, after how many years of construction, still having stream and creek degradation, wetland degradation, killing of all of the things in all of the organisms and fish in the stream and creek, March Creek and all these other places where it's still happening. These people are violating our constitutional rights. These are rights that should be equal to the right to bear arms, the right to free speech. These are our constitutional rights, and they're being violated every single day by this industry and other industries. And there has to be a point where a judge at some point says, this is not right, over everything else. It doesn't matter what the Oil and Gas Act says. It doesn't matter what the property rights of the gas company, because people like Huntley and Huntley, they have their own property. They own some of the property that they build on. It doesn't matter. What matters is, are you going to kill the fish in the stream? Are you going to contaminate someone's drinking water? Are you going to pollute their air? Are you going to make them sick? And if the answer to those questions is yes, you should not be able to do it in the state of Pennsylvania. They have the privilege to do business here. and they squander that privilege, and they're allowed to do it. And it's so infuriating.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because like you said, it is a constitutional right.
That's
So it is, yeah, it's a lot. It's interesting to be in this space of activism and try to wrap our head around kind of like what is really going on, what the playing field is. I see we have another question popped up at the bottom of our screen here, and I want to know the answer to it. So, who does Protect PT partner with to fight fracking?
Yeah, so we partner with a lot of different organizations. The Environmental Health Project, we still partner with to do our air monitoring. Really wonderful organization out of Washington, APA. We partner with Mountain Watershed Association, home of the Yakagani River Keeper, helped us start our organization. The way that we got started, still partners to this day. We're really happy about that. Larger organizations that we partner with, like the Environmental Integrity Project, which is a national organization, also Sierra Club, has really helped us out lately. Give a shout out to the Kelseys at Sierra Club for helping us through some of the stuff we're working on now, and just so many others. Physicians for Social Responsibility, bringing those wonderful, and I will say up on the screen, there's Dr. Walter Sue and Laura Dagley, and one of our board members in the past, Beth. She's not a board member anymore, but she was for several years, and myself. This is a hearing full of people, hoping that this permit does not get approved, and so just a ton of great organizations. Earthworks has a great program where they will come out and do FLIR camera footage of oil and gas well pads. They've done that in our community. I know I'm forgetting a bunch of people. Fair Shake is our legal, kind of like our legal partners. And, gosh, there's so many. There's Clean Air Council, just a lot, big and small,
Yeah.
and that's one thing that I think is really great about this type of work. I feel like no matter how big or small, people are willing to help you. And I think that that's really important. There's going to be a point when you're going to have to do it yourself. I think I want people to know that, like, don't, if you really want change in your community, you need to do it yourself, because it's not going to happen if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Well, I wonder if you could maybe talk a bit about some of the things that you're most proud of having accomplished over the past 6 years.
Well, that's a tough one.
Yeah, you've done a lot, so it's a good problem to have to
yeah.
have to think about it. Yeah.
I'm proud to be a boss. I never, expected to have this turn into a job, and then that job turned into a position where I was able to employ people. So I'm really proud about that, and I take that responsibility really seriously. I'm proud that we have, out of the 12 well pads, we have 2 that have been built. Sorry, I'm kidding.
No, that's awesome. Like that's a huge thing.
Anyone that knows me knows I'm a real sap, and I'll cry off the hat. I'm really proud that we have one of the only monitoring programs of its kind. I mean, there's nothing like this around. There have been very few studies done on monitoring. Dr. Michael McCulley out of West Virginia University did a study a couple years ago, and Dr. Richburg study, and that's about it on noise. So we're collecting this great data. I'm really proud to connect with community members, and that people come to us and ask us, like, how can you help us? And just that we can be a voice for them. So, sorry. So I'm very proud.
Yeah. It's powerful. I think it's really, really, really powerful. And the other thing I'll say is that, 6 years is Not that long. So to be able to say that you've accomplished all that, I think is insanely impressive, and it like really does speak to, I think, the very smart and strategic way that you have built Protect PT, and that Protect PT has operated in this very challenging space. So I think it's cool, and awesome that you have so much to be proud of.
Yeah, and I think that, like I said, the gas company was shocked that
Mm-hmm.
this group of residents could accomplish so much. And it wasn't just me, it was all the people that helped me. It was all the people that were Protect PT, and that's still like that today. I mean, a lot of the folks that are watching right now, we would not exist if it weren't for the volunteers that help us. We would not exist if it weren't for those people that wanted to step up and be board members, to help be the arm of our organization that helps with all of the all the administration, and helps with all of the managerial things that are required to run an organization. I've learned along the way, but I couldn't have learned it without the support of those members. And I think that that's really important. And we're unique because we are a membership organization, and we are a membership organization because those members allow us to fight on their behalf by saying, I want to be a member of Protect PT. You're saying, I want Protect PT to fight on my behalf on X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
And we will do it. Of course, we have to weigh, are we able to do it? How are we able to do it? And if people don't want to be members, if they just want to donate, or if they just want our help with nothing, we will give it. And like we were doing mentorship over near Slippery Rock. There's a tri-county landfill, and working with folks over there in near Grove City to oppose the landfill, because we see that the landfill is going to accept oil and gas waste, which is going to damn
Mm-hmm.
it. Like, there's a whole system of waste that's gonna happen, this whole new stream of legacy pollution that's gonna happen as a result. And we've seen it because we know that it's happening right now in Westmoreland County. So testifying for someone at a DEP hearing, that's something that I can give, and it's kind of like paying forward all the wonderful things that people have done for us along the years, and that's really important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I'll say is that in every picture that kind of scrolls through underneath you right now, I think a very noticeable thing is that they're full of people. Every single one has been full of community, and I think that really speaks to what this is all about. And on that topic, I think we have a new question down here, which is how can we support Protect PT towards the legal challenges?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now on our website, if you go to the website, the first thing you're going to see is a light box. They call it, it's like one of those pop-up things. And I'm sorry, I don't like them, but I feel like it's important that people know as soon as they get there that that we need the support, we need their help. But right now, because we have our oral argument on the 19th of May, we're asking people to donate, because we would not be able to do this type of legal work if it weren't for people helping and contributing, because it's really hard to find grant money for legal work. And I remember there was a time when we had some of these local WellPAD hearings, and we did not have the money to fight them all. We were really running like month to month, trying to pay our legal bills, and passing the hat at every turn. And I had someone come to me and say, why isn't your lawyer coming to this local hearing? Is it because this is, the poorer part of town? And I was like, heck no, like that would be even more of a reason, an environmental justice area is more of a reason for us to show up. But we simply did not have the resources. At the time, we barely were able to pay, our legal bill. And so we had to make a decision, and it was a really tough decision to make, not to have our attorney come to most of the hearings. He showed up for the end, And we were able to do a lot of it on our own. You know, we were like, okay, we got this. We've been through this before. We know what to do, right? And we still kicked butt. You know, we brought our attorney at the end, and the well pad was denied. And when he said, "What can I do to help?" I said, "You can donate money, because it is really hard to find grants for this type of work. They're, you know, sometimes they're non-existent. So, you know, that's one thing that people can do. They can donate money toward the legal challenge, and we've got a lot of new ones, I believe, coming up. I don't have a crystal ball, but I can imagine that there will be some things that are going to be permitted soon that we will fight.
Seems like maybe a safe crystal ball prediction.
Knowing, yeah, I think knowing how the DEP operates and how they approve things, whether they should be approved or not, tells us a lot about what is going to come up in the future.
Mm-hmm. On that note, this is maybe a bit of a broad question, but so Protect PT is 6 years old today, and you've accomplished a lot in 6 years. I wonder if you have given a lot of thought to kind of what you imagine the future being like, either the future of Protect PT or the future that Protect PT has been fighting for.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to, I guess is my question. What's on your horizon?
I am looking forward to expanding our funding and expanding our programs. And I'm looking forward to expanding our staff. I really hope that happens, because I feel like we always have a ton more work than we have staff for. So that's like one of my main goals. And right now, thanks to some of the wonderful people that are on this chat, we're actually doing a board development project where we're doing a lot of strategic planning, doing SWOT analysis, and just really taking a deep dive into our organization and how we work. And I think that's really essential. You know, the volunteer that's helping us do it is like, you can't know where point B is if you don't know where you are right now, where point A is. And so to be able to make that path to get there and achieve all our goals. And we have really lofty goals. You know, we have a ton of goals that we put forth every year based on the work that we're currently doing that goes from year to year, and based on the work that we foresee is going to need to happen. And then there's always something on top of that. There's always something that comes up that we didn't see coming. And then we're kind of like, okay, how can we do this? How can we fit this into the other work that we're doing? And so trying to do all that requires a lot of really great work from some wonderful people. You know, Mary and Patrick and Annie and, you know, Kathleen, she's actually leaving us at the end of the month. So she's our environmental scientist. So we're looking for another environmental scientist, and we've got a part-time bookkeeper that just came on with us. So just really trying to grow that staff, because I can see that we will need more staff in the future. If this keeps up, and we keep finding things that kind of just find us that need working on, then we will need to expand. And that's one thing I hope happens. But it all takes money. You know, 100% of the money that is donated goes to things like our legal work, goes to things like, you know, outreach and things like that, to supporting the members. So it goes back to the members. You know, we keep our lights on, and we employ our employees with grant money. And we've been doing that for you know, several years, and we're really proud to be able to give the service that we can to our members and still be able to keep our lights on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I know we're running kind of low on time right now. We only have a few minutes left, so I'm double checking the chat to see if anybody has any other questions. But it looks like there's a lot of love to you, Gillian, which is awesome.
I love them back.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I actually put this picture up. I wanted to talk about this a second before we head off for today.
Mhm.
This is one of my goals would be to in the future to get the school district to take seriously this problem of air contamination for the students of Penn Trafford School District as well as other school districts in the area. So this was back several years ago. My kids are little in this picture, little niblets, and so are the other kids that are here too. These kids are grown right now. They're more grown. And they made a Valentine that has messages like I love clean air and I want clean air, things like that, and gave it to the school board. And we asked for free air monitoring. So the Environmental Health Project was going to offer free air monitoring to the school because one of the schools, the Level Green Elementary, is surrounded by four potential new well pads. And we want to protect those kids because it's an open air school. It's an old school. And we thought it was, really important to protect these children because these kids are not just going to be exposed to the air pollution at school. They'll be exposed to home as well because we're such a small community. This is a neighborhood school, so this school is like right smack dab in the middle of the neighborhood, and it's a residential area with thousands and thousands of homes, and all the kids go to this school. And so these well pads literally surround the school in every direction. And right in the center is the school. And so we want clean air for the kids. We want them to be able to know what's happening. Like we want to educate the kids and make sure that they know and the teachers know, like if it's a really bad air day based on the pollution level, based on the weather, maybe we don't take the kids outside to play today. Maybe we keep them inside. Maybe we run our air filters more. It's all about education and being aware of these things. And once you open up that can of worms, it's really hard to put it back in. It's like one of those snakes, one of those trick snakes that come out. You can't put that back in the can. It's really hard to ignore this once you know that it's happening. And so we just want to make people more aware of it because we hope that in the future, if people are aware, they will take action. They will join us. This is my son telling the governor to stop making excuses that we have a constitutional right to clean air and pure water. They went with the Better Path Coalition back in 2019 to see Governor Wolf and to share a petition that they gave to the governor. I don't think he's listening, which is one of the things that my son said. Like, he doesn't want to listen to what we have to say. And my son was not okay with that. So I think also teaching the next generation of people. So this is a great picture of our interns a couple years ago. And actually, one of our interns, Mary, is a full-time employee with us. So, and we're going to have a new class of interns starting next month. So it's really exciting to be able to teach others to, what we do. And there are some of our employees right now up on the bridge. So there's a future governor. Me? No, I'm no. There is going to be a governor race coming up soon, though, and it's going to be a really important race because I feel like this governor has done nothing to, protect those constitutional rights, and we need a governor that will prioritize our constitutional rights and our environmental rights because they're one and the same in this state.
Yeah, I think one of the most powerful things, one of the most powerful pictures I saw was all those kids who, you're talking about education, educating the, government officials, but also, school officials, but also them, they see what's going on, and these are pretty tangible problems, I think, for kids to grasp and kids to understand the importance of. Yeah. So, yeah, it's optimistic.
I think so. You know,
Yeah.
it's better to be optimistic and do something about it than to
Yeah.
be, you know, just ignoring and sticking your head
Mhm.
in the sand. Yeah.
Definitely.
So that's how I roll.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, do you want to plug Protect PT's social media channels and other things you have going on
Yeah.
down the pipeline?
Yep. Thank you. So please subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You'll get updates on future lunch and learns, and we're going to be,
Mhm.
we're going to keep doing this every month. And follow us on Facebook. We are going to have on May 19th, at 9 o'clock in the morning. You'll be able to see the replay. But we want people to, hopefully be involved and listen to our oral argument. It's the Supreme Court, and learn more about our organization. And if you follow us on social media, you'll pretty much have everything you need to know about Protect BT, because Mary does a phenomenal job of making sure we know everything, that everything is posted on social media. We have Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. So go to our website if you want more information about our events coming up. We've got some really wonderful educational opportunities that are all virtual, so you can do it from home and you don't have to worry about COVID. And hopefully, we'll be able to get connected with the community again in person soon. So, but I think we'll still keep this wonderful format of virtual conversations. But Blanche, thank you so much for doing this today. I know it's kind of a role reversal for me to not be the host, but to be the guest. And I'm so happy that we found you and that you contacted me for the interview, and that we were able to connect like this.
Absolutely. No, I'm happy to help celebrate Protect PT. And yeah, no, really, really happy to also stay connected. So this has been awesome, and congratulations for 6 really great years.
Yeah, it's exciting. Don't forget,
Yeah.
we actually have a fundraiser tonight, an event. It's going to be fun. It's, for anybody that's watching, if you see this later, we're going to have an event tonight to celebrate. We're kind of like a virtual party.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we're giving away some cool stuff. So you can find that on our website. And thank you so much for joining us today, Blanche. It was great seeing you again, and I hope you keep in touch, and we'll post your documentary when it comes up.
Thank you so much. No, thanks for having me. This is great.
All right, thanks everybody for watching. Have a good day.